Okay. It's initial. Okay, there we go. Thank you everyone for joining in. We are sorry that it took so long to get started. We had some technical difficulties. Thank everybody for sticking with me through this little error. We're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to give some brief introductions. We're going to start with Truska Cosper, who is my niece-in-law, basically. So Truska, go ahead and give yourself an introduction.
Hi, I'm Tresca. I'm from Fernandina, but I'm currently in California right now. And I'm a wedding photographer who does not believe in organized religion.
Okay.
But then again, I don't. It's a learning process. I said it earlier on here. I learn as I go. So
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Great. Taino or Bynes, whoever would like to go next, or Chucky.
Well, I'm Chuck.
Chuck, you want to
Charles.
go?
Everybody call me Chuck.
I'm Charles. Everybody
Um,
call me Chuck.
can you hear me?
Chuck, you want to go? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you
Yeah,
hear
you
me?
just have a bit of an
You
echo, but we
just
can
have a
hear
bit of
you.
an
Hello?
echo, but we can hear you. Hello?
Tanner's line is this line is echoing
Oh,
every time he
okay.
unmutes.
We hear you, Chuck.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm Charles. They call me Chuck. Musician for churches. Um, it's complicated. Let's just say that. I I I like to say I have evolved as organized religion or the need for organized religion for me. I get it for some people. Done. I yield. Yeah, before I get in trouble.
No, look, this is what it's all about. Us having these conversations, so people can be in. Some people may have the same line of thinking, as you and Stacia. You're stuck in between and may not know which way to go or how you feeling or whatever. So these conversations, might shed light on for you and Stacia and anyone else that's out there listening. So, Taino, would you like to go next? Taino, I don't know if Taino you're up
Taino,
next.
you're up next. All right, now I can hear you. All right, what are we doing? An
Okay.
introduction? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. For those that haven't met me, I go by the name of Taino Fury. I'm from the Virgin Islands. I live in Atlanta now. As far as religion or any belief system, I grew up in religion, but I'm no longer religious. A different route, more spiritual route. Um, I'm more open-minded, free thinker, belief, or what I would say, programming. Um, I've learned to not be judgmental for those that are still religious. Me personally, I just choose not to go that route anymore. It's just had a different awakening, I've waken up to reasoning. But for those that want to go that route, hey, Do what makes you happy. But I'm personally not into religion or that aspect of it anymore at all.
Okay. All right. Next up, we're going to have
But
a
I'm
very good
done.
friend of the family, Vines.
Next,
Okay.
Hey, good evening, everybody. David
very
Bond,
good
hailing from
friend of the family. Hey, good evening,
Fort Lauderdale.
everybody. David
Fort
Bond,
Lauderdale.
Lauderdale.
Um, so, as
Um,
far as introduction,
so as far as the production,
former
Yeah, can I have Tenoffer
former,
Jewish
can I have Tano
fundamentalist, former consecrated
uh,
apostle,
former consecrated
former consecrated apostle, and
apostle.
now spiritualist. I actually consider myself to be a critical spiritualist. Um, And so while I critique the church, I still uh, don't necessarily condemn the church, but I'm also a spiritual coach. And so I believe one of my assignments now in
Coach.
this
So I
elevated
believe
space
now
is to
in this
coach
elevated
and
spirit
guide
is
those that are in
uh,
that space of transitioning out of religion and into a more critical or conscious space.
I guess I'll go next. Nobody's taken out. Carl Clark from Detroit, Michigan. I am the intellectual thinker. Like I'm a thinker. Chess player, engineer, scientist, patents. I'm a thinker. I'm a logic guy. The term religion, I will consider myself a Christian, but the term of religion, I'm not even sure what that term means. When people use the term, I'm not sure if we all have the same understanding. I don't know what the difference between religion and spirituality is, but I will just say that when I read Bible, the only thing that I see out of the scriptures is what I call the love movement. God is love, and God wants us to love one another. And for me, religion outside of the context of love is useless. Religion, when confined to the love movement, says that God loves everybody. God wants us to love everybody. The world's a better place if we can just encourage everyone to love everybody. So to me, that's the whole point. There's nothing else.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Next up, we have no one other than my sister Grace, like amazing, because she really is an amazing person. Um, we're gonna let her give a brief introduction. Okay, we can't hear Grace at all. Okay, we can't hear Grace. We can't hear you. If you can hear us, we can't hear you at all. So we'll come back to you, Elisha. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
All right, hello everybody. I go by Eli. My full name is ready for me? All right, I go by Eli. My full
Hmm.
name is Elisha Taylor. Elisha, like Second Kings chapter 6. I can say that I was a minister in the churches of Christ for about approximately 20 years or approaching 20 years. I graduated from Southwestern Christian College with an AA degree in Bible. Graduated from FAMU with a minor in religious studies. My major is criminal justice. Currently work at Alfred DuPont Middle School as a behavior interventionist. Um, I would kind of agree with Carl on this. I'm still a little confused about the whole spiritual thing versus religious. Um, after founding my own congregation here off of Lim Turner, the Northbound Church of Christ, I left that after being challenged by a friend to bring back evidence of things such as the Exodus. The Exodus was a big one. I couldn't find any evidence for that. So here I am, no longer just stand in front of people, feeling like I'm in the Matrix for for some time. So if Grace is back, I can't wait to hear from Grace. She always brings some fire when she comes. So I hope we can hear her this time. I'm out.
She absolutely, absolutely does. Sis, can you hear us? I want to add you back to the screen. Can you hear us so we can get you a little introduction so we can get started? She is frozen. So yeah, she's frozen. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and get started with the video. All right.
When the science gonna hold these youth accountable. A lot of these deacons are ready to pass the babies.
Basement of museums in Mexico.
Truth, but you accept to be the truth and live accordingly. That's all I tell people. When the scientists themselves tell you.
You are now tuned in to Be Called BS Podcast News. Thank you for tuning in. Tonight we'll be talking about, can you pray away certain desires? Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like button. Also leave a comment. Thank you. Have you ever sought divine intervention to overcome a sinful craving, only to find it still persists despite your best efforts? What do you do when it seems like prayer isn't enough to combat temptation? Can we really expect God to remove our harmful desires, or is it more to it?
Paid me my money. You ain't paid me my money. I'll get you off this camera when you give me my money. 15 minutes, 125. You know the drill. How many times we meet up, Joe? This time? This time, really? You think we finna? No, I'm sorry. Your wife gonna see this. Your wife is gonna see this. Pay me my money or get a divorce. Which one is gonna be?
Get me off that damn
Which one is it gonna be?
Get me off that damn
She's gonna know.
Get me off that damn
3-4 times a week he hear y'all.
I'm on to be transparent. And as simple as this, I messed up. This has been a really, really hard few days. But I struggled. And the struggle didn't just begin. You know, it has been a struggle.
Alabama mayor tragically took his own life days after a conservative outlet published photos of him wearing women's clothing. Bubba Copeland was also a pastor and the mayor of Smith Station, Alabama.
In terms of rules, I mean, the big ones are easy, right? Like, you probably shouldn't steal, you probably shouldn't kill people. Those are things that probably all religions kind of agree on, right? There's no contention. But like an issue like gay marriage, people look to the ministers for leadership. Is that an issue that's for you against the rules?
You know, it would be, but Mark, I don't, you know. don't really focus on a lot of those things. I try to stay in my lane of what I feel called to do. Now that does come up in interviews and things, but just don't feel like that's not my core message. My core message is how do you have a healthy self-image? How do you let go of the past? How do you raise good children? How do you reach your dreams? Now I know that is part of it.
Yeah, because if you have 45,000 people,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah.
For example, among other things. Yeah.
Absolutely, and everybody's welcome. But my take on it is, it's easy to make one issue to become known for that, or to let it sidetrack your message. And if you look at our congregation or the people that come to Yankee Stadium, including myself, we all have issues. Everybody's on a journey. So I try to say, here's my focus, here's my lane. And that's kind of where I've stayed in that.
LGBT community and the black church can coexist.
Absolutely.
Let me push that question, because that's sort of an obvious yes. Church ain't turning nobody away. How should the black church and the LGBT community exist?
I think it's going to be diverse from church to church. Every church has a different opinion on the issue, and every gay person is different. And I think that to speak the church, the black church or white church or any kind of church you want to call it, are all the same is totally not true. And all gay people are not the same. The types of relationships that are forwarded are based on the types of people in each individual case.
Yeah.
And LGBTs of types and sorts have to find a household of worship that reflects what your views are and what you believe, like anybody else. And the church should have the right to have its own convictions and values. If you don't like those convictions and values, you totally disagree with it, don't try to change my house, move into your own and establish that sort of thing and find somebody who gets what you get about faith.
Executive Pastor Brodus Perry was dying from 3 gunshot wounds. His wife was shot in the shoulder, and Latasha Daniels was holding a gun. We contacted one of Pastor Perry's friends in Florida.
I was, really sad, and I was like, "Nah, bro." I was like, he just moved. Like, didn't he just move to a new city? And
the couple did just move to Collierville from Little Rock. That's where Perry's wife now tells police she and her husband knew Daniels from and never suspected an affair until Thursday night. She says as Daniels showed up, had a short visit, began to leave, she grabbed her gun and started firing, shouting, "You broke my heart."
it appeared that they were from what the lady shared, that they had a relationship. And so I would say healing has to take place for the young lady who committed the crime, and also for the
If everything was true, all I got to do is repent sincerely from my heart. There's enough power in the blood.
Going to hold these youths accountable.
A lot of these deacons are raising pastor babies.
Basement.
Well, um, I wanted to put that video together just to kind of show what we like to call sin, or what we was taught as what these things are sin, and we've been taught to pray these things away. So my question would be, is prayer really that effective for these types of situations? As we saw with the first guy, everybody can remember about the Brooklyn pastor. I think they call him the Bling Bishop. He got robbed last year, I believe, or whatever. But he's also have been indicted for some charges, where he's going to possibly receive up to 45 years for stealing from his members, lying, being manipulative, stealing, and all those things. So if he's a pastor and preaching to people that you shouldn't do these things, but yet he does the same thing, where is the prayer coming from to help him? Or do we even think that prayer works in these situations? I would like to hear from Grace first, simply because we couldn't hear her before. So I would like to get her intake on it first. but she's not here. So okay, so we'll go with binds.
All right. It's not allowing me. Can you repeat the question, Wanda? Wanda, can you hear me?
Coming from ministry, from church, how effective is the prayers if these pastors, these ministers are doing the very same thing as a criminal, a non-believer? So how effective are these prayers from the pastors themselves?
I right. That's for me right now. That's a loaded question because I don't see prayer the same way that I used to. And so for me, when I think of prayer or meditation, um, while I believe in it, I now see prayer as um, it's a mental thing, right? And so prayer is meant to bring consciousness and awareness to a subject. I no longer believe that there's this idea that if I pray to a God, that God now comes down and removes whatever that I'm asking God to remove. For me, prayer is aligning the individual, bringing the individual into more conscious awareness of that situation that you now have to do the work. So it becomes a practice. So this whole thing is loaded, right? As you know, if we want to talk about, you know, LGBTQ community, right? Or the church wants to talk about it. For me, no, you can't pray away being gay, right? Now, if someone says this is not a lifestyle that I choose, it's something that I believe I struggle with, if they want to call it that, and it's something that I don't want as a part of my life, do I believe that they can pray or meditate to bring themselves into a line of awareness where they can change their behavior themselves? Yeah, I believe in that, right? But it's a practice for them. Do I believe? And I think two things that I heard: God removal and harmful desires. I don't know that. I don't believe that it's a harmful desire, right? I believe that society teaches that it's a harmful desire. And so, again, if a person desires to have a change, any change behavior, I do think that they can, quote unquote, pray or meditate, and it can bring them into a more conscious awareness of what that is. But then it brings them into a space where they then have to do the work themselves to make that change ultimately or to make that transformation. So, can it be done? Yeah. Is it done through prayer? I wouldn't say that it is. I think it's done through the idea of, again, you doing the work to change that behavior.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to add Grace. Grace, we definitely want to hear. We definitely want to hear what you have to say. We couldn't hear you before, so what is your take on the video? If you did see it,
Can you hear me?
Grace, can you hear? Yes, yes, we do hear you. And if you mind, we couldn't hear you with the introduction, so if you don't mind, just to give us the audience a
I'm not
brief
even gonna.
overview of
I'm
who
not
you
gonna worry
are.
about an
I You kind
introduction.
of did.
Oh, I'm not gonna
Okay.
worry about an introduction. It doesn't matter at this point. The hour is late, and I know we want to get into the subject. So I lean right and live right exactly where Vines is
Hmm.
in terms of these social constructs and issues that, or issues we like to call them, are not things that you can pray away. Now, prayer is a useful tool in and of itself. But again, the issue that I have from the Christian perspective is, as TD Jakes said it in his delivery, I could just simply pray, ask for forgiveness, and I'm good. And I think that's the part that is the biggest disconnect for me, is that we think we could just simply say a prayer. This external being will come down and magically, take away all of these desires that we no longer want, or give us the things that we do want, the desires of our hearts that we do have. But there's no work on our part whatsoever. And if we're going to stay robotic, if we're going to stay in that space of All I have to do is submit this prayer request, and this God checks his inbox and delivers back to me what I've been praying for. Then what is the point in free will? What is the point in praying if God already knows the intentions of our hearts, the things that we desire? Why not just give us all of those things that we want and be done with? It doesn't make sense. The math doesn't math. And then there is no work that we do. And that's my biggest issue is we are lazy and we expect a deity to do all of the work for us, and all we have to simply do is make the request, and that's it. So that's my issue. I don't subscribe to it.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I do like what your sister just said. She made a good point. And I think this comes from the programming that if we, from Monday to Friday to Saturday, whatever sins we commit during those times, we can go into church on Sunday, pray it away, and we think that somehow magically the being above in the sky is going to forgive us of all those sins, and the slate is wiped clean, and we have a new beginning. And that is, I feel like it is being lazy to actually put in the work for change. Because if you believe that praying is all of a sudden going to just bring you whatever you want, you're not going to really put in the work spiritually or mentally to get the things you really want. You can't sit there and wait and pray things to come to you. And I understand praying could be a form of trying to manifest something, but to really manifest something, you really have to want it and you have to go and get it. You can't just pray and wait for it to come to you. And that is the great divide we have amongst ourselves. There are others that believe that praying is going to bring you luck. Praying is going to change everything around you. Praying instead of just going out and get it. You know, if you want change, you can't just pray for change. You have to go out and do something for the change to happen. You have to put in an effort, you know. And I think that's just part of us as people being forced under religion that was brought to us by people that told us that this God was all and seeing. This God is going to punish you if you don't obey him. But the same people that told us this were the most genocidal, raping, killing, pillaging people you have ever met. So it kind of contradicts the God they brought to us, because this God was so almighty and was so powerful. Why didn't he stop them from doing the damage that they have done to us mentally and spiritually? So it's okay to pray, but if you want any questions answered or anything to change and happen for you, you have to manifest something within and go out and get it. You know, you have to do something about it. You can't just sit there and rely on somebody else to do it for you or some spiritual guide to do it for you. Yeah, that's pretty much my take on that. You know, I know I have family members that don't agree, or I guess don't talk to me no more because of my stance on not believing everything that we was programmed to believe. And I believe that everyone that has strayed away from religion is not because of it has nothing to do with evilness. It has nothing to do with bad spirit. It has to do with what resonates with you. Everybody has their own say so, their own feeling, how they feel, how they view the world, how they view things within the world we live in. So everyone isn't gonna believe everything the same way. They're not gonna see everything the same way. We're not gonna write or talk about everything in the same way or same tongue. But it is important for us as a people to realize that this kingdom that we do seek is within us. The blood of the Most High, and I'm not talking about religiously Most High, but the ancestors, the cosmos. That energy is within us. It's within our DNA. It's within our makeup. Um, yeah. So I end it right there. That's how I feel about the praying and spiritual praying and stuff like that.
Wanda, I see your lips moving, but we don't hear you.
Wanda, see.
And I just want to say, hey, Stacia girl.
He was crazy.
And I just want to say, hey, Stacia girl.
Chris.
Taino,
It was
mute
crazy.
yourself. Taino, mute.
Taino.
Love you.
Love you more.
Love you
I
more.
don't hear Wanda at all. I just want to,
I don't hear Wanda at all.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I had. I'm sorry. That's my fault, y'all. That's on me. I hit the mute button. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yes, yes. I just
But
uh,
Lisa, you mentioned yeah,
um
uh,
that is really straight to the point. I agree with everybody's perspective. I done
really
heard
Can
prayer.
I
point.
can
I
I
agree
can I
with
make a point,
everybody.
Patty?
I
Right?
do believe that prayer.
Hold up. Pause. 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 Taino, you got to mute because we can.
Oh, I mean, mm-mm.
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
um, yeah, I can hear. I can hear everyone.
We hear you. Go ahead, Stacia. We hear you.
It's like um 3 years ago, if you would ask me if I was religious, I would have said no. But I don't know. Life circumstances, events, I feel as if higher power has granted me to witness. I do believe that prayer can change things in people's lives if you put in, again, the work behind it, if that makes sense. Uh, I guess I use the word praying and manifestation is one and the same to me. So if you wake up, like, that's why I say I'm in between. It's like I agree, but then again, I don't. Life circumstances with me, I do believe. Prayer change things. Um, I don't know, give an example, but yeah, exactly. I feel as if those are right. I see where you're saying with that, but I feel as though that's just a false prophet. He's misleading his congregation, how he's choosing to live his lifestyle. He know he's not a real pastor, but he up there behind the pulpit. Like I didn't really see that part of the video. It was glitching on my end. This one, but I did see a clip of it. I seen everything else but that. But I feel as if that's him. Like that's him within himself, individual. That's not really a man of God representing really how God implemented, pastors to be. Pastors are supposed to be on earth to defend the word that's in the Bible. You have false prophets to this day that's preaching the word but not living by it. You have people in the church backing up the word but not living by it. I see it. But does that take away from the Bible and the word to me? No. One bad apple can spoil the bunch, but not necessarily. You, I don't know. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. I. Mhm. Right. I get that.
Sound is going out, but as far as what I did hear, um, as far as I know, I'm an action speaks type of guy. If you want something done, I believe you have to put action to it. Even the Bible says faith without works is dead. Um, uh, prayer, um, I can't say prayer alone works or is efficacious. I know if you out there and you put to it, but I can't say that work alone doesn't that. Um, as far as the lifestyles and that being prayed away, um, I don't see that happening. um, and as far as it being a choice, after putting some thought into it, if somebody could choose not to be, then that means somebody that adamantly against that lifestyle could choose to be that if they chose to. I don't get that argument either. So I like I said, like I was explaining to Wanda, I have more questions than answers now. And I yield. I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm yielding.
I accidentally swiped. Okay, I'm back. I do not believe in organized religion at all. So therefore, I do not think that you can pray anything away. Prayer is just a different form of, like others said, manifesting. You can only get what you want out of it, what you put into it. You can't sit there and pray your cancer away unless your body cells are ready to fight the cancer for you, or unless you're doing an active lifestyle to beat it. You cannot pray away your homosexuality. I mean, that you're born like that, you like what you like, it's no big deal. I think one of the biggest issues I have with religion is that for a lot of people, it causes like identity crisis, as in all of these pastors, preachers, they are up there on stage speaking the word that they think that they're speaking, but in reality, they're obviously fighting against themselves. I think a lot of people end up not coming out and saying what they want to say, being who they want to be, because they think that they need to fit in a box to fit within their religion. So therefore, they're not willing to just come out and be and say and do what they want to do. If they felt like they had the space to do that, the place to say that, it probably wouldn't end up with you getting your shit blasted online because you didn't pay whoever you're having sex with in a hotel. So if that wasn't the case, they wouldn't be there. So I'm not for it. I don't think you can pray anything away. You got to do the work, and that's fine. I'm not doing the work, but I'm also not praying. So
Oh, my trustee, how I love thee. Let me count the ways. Eli, Wanda's about to restart her computer. She got booted out. She said for you to go next, please.
Okay, can y'all hear me without the feedback?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because I don't know about y'all, but I probably heard 5% of what y'all said. Not because I
Oh,
wasn't listening, but because it was horrible audio. The audio was just bad.
Horrible.
So I'm gonna say this. If you have headphones, please go get them. Like now, like go get them so we can salvage some time. If you have them, if you don't, when you talk, we all just gonna have to be on mute, and you're gonna have to mute yourself when you're not talking. Whenever you don't have the floor, I've been typing some stuff in the chat. I don't know if y'all been seeing it because I didn't want to interrupt anybody. I thought about it. Charles, man, I'm sorry. I don't remember anything you said. I, I'm really lost right now, but I'm gonna attempt to say this. This is what I'm gonna say. We're here because the majority of us have probably had an experience with prayer from a religious perspective. And you're looking at texts such as you're going to find all through the Bible, such as believe that you have received already and it shall be given to you. And when that type of language is used, for the most part, Carl would call this Christianity 101. That's shout out to my boy Carl. When you hear this and it's been taught to you, this is what we were told growing up. Pray about it. And R. Kelly, my one of my favorite R. Kelly songs. Forgive me if y'all don't like R. Kelly. I have a problem with him personally, but not with the music. The music is awesome. I don't care what you say. Music man got talent. Anyway, yeah, I'm saying prayer changes things. He wrote that song for a reason because that's what we taught. That's what we mostly understand prayer to do. Even if you're doing the work, I even taught this when I was preaching. When it gets to a point where you're working and you can't do it, or it looks like it's gonna fail, and you've done all you can do, that's when this you're supposed to pray, and this deity is gonna swoop in, and somehow some unexplainable force is gonna work. Yes, you've tried to pay your credit down. You've tried and tried and tried, and you just don't have the money, but you're doing everything you got to do. You're paying your bills on time now, but you still stuck with this enormous debt. The raggedy car you just had done broke down, and you got to keep your job because you got to drive. So you're gonna go down and get you a new car, even though your credit score is a 450, but you prayed the night before, so you don't put in the work and you don't pray. So he gonna somehow, some way, God is gonna touch that car salesman's heart and the manager's heart, and that Camry, whatever it is you trying to get, is going to be yours because you prayed. Now that's even when you put in the work, and you could apply that. I was just making up something off the top of my head, but that's why we here tonight, because that's what the majority of us have been told about prayer. I hear you when it comes to the spiritual thing and doing the work. I was just at a dinner down in D-Land with my cousin. We were eating, and right when Sunday rolled around, and I'm the one that used to be a pastor. She looked at me and she was like, "You gonna say the prayer?" Now here's the thing. I do believe in the whole thing, getting your mind right. I pray, meditate. I pray to myself in a sense to get my mind aligned with my goals and everything that I'm gonna do. But what she was asking me to do was to give thanks to something outside of myself. So when she said, "Are you gonna do the prayer?" and then she said, "Oh, wait a minute, do you still pray like that?" And I looked at her and I said, "For what?" I said, What? Who am I talking to? You know?" And she just slaved in there, cooking all that food. If anything, I'm gonna thank her. Thank you for, for cooking the food. I mean, she did it all, and it was good. Ain't that? I'm just saying. So, I'm getting. Is somebody back? We back. I hear myself and somebody's speaker. Wanda back. So a little bit of feed through coming through you, Wanda. I was really just gonna talk until she came back, but let's keep it real. That's why we here. Oh, how was I sounding to everybody else? Y'all
So good.
I just had to switch my.
Elijah, you were good. It wasn't you.
Eli, you were coming through fine
It
until
wasn't
Wanda
you.
came back in.
Mhm.
So Wanda, you're gonna have to mute
Oh,
yourself. Might be because you're in the garage.
check your settings, sis. Check that cogwheel. Check your settings and go to audio, and make sure that noise cancellation. You can take me all the way off. Yeah, I got you. You work out your issues, and I got to do it. If you want to tell me something, if you want to tell me to ask something, just text it to me. I got my phone up and I got the thread up from you. So if you want to text me something, to want to just text it to me and I'll put it forward. So everybody, now that we are here at this moment, y'all heard what I had to say about it. That's really why we're here. That's what people have been taught. I have some scriptures here to go through to support. That's what we have been taught. However, what I've been doing is trying to get people to think on Facebook and trying to get people to question what they are taught. And perhaps there are some ways or some ideas for that, and maybe even such. Maybe she has questions. She said she's kind of on the fence with some things, so we're here for that. Carl, be careful with that. I already see it in your face, bro. Be careful with that Christianity one-on-one stuff that's brand new. We gonna need a whole live for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and
I had a lot. I heard a lot of wonderful things. I would love to sit down and have a cup of coffee or a bottle of wine or whatever with Tresca. Just like talk to her for like an hour. I need an hour of your time. I want to talk to you. But I heard a lot of things. A lot of stuff that I actually agree with. There's a couple points. I mean, I do have to talk about the Christianity 101, but I was just at a couple points. There are definitely there's ever since the beginning of time there has been two churches within the church. There's always been two churches. In Bible, we have the Pharisees, and then we have Jesus. These are two churches running parallel, both using scripture, etc. A lot of what I hear, I see it as the Pharisee church. A lot of the what I'm hearing, the complaints and the problems that people have with religion, it's all the Pharisee church. And so for me, I don't subscribe to that Pharisee church. I'm subscribed to something totally different, but it's lost in the mix. When I have a conversation with somebody, they're thinking Pharisee church is the church. I'm thinking about something totally different. So the conversation we're not effectively communicating. And I was what's that 100% aligned with I think Pastor Bynes the perspective that he had totally aligned with his perspective. I would add something though. I think the perspective that he has on prayer is actually what Bible teaches. It's not name it and claim it. It's so what is prayer? It's about getting the mind of God. And who is God? God is the concept of love. So you got to believe in God. That means you believe in love. You believe God's your savior. That means you believe love is what saves humanity. So God is the concept of love. And as you believe in God, you're putting your faith and your trust and your hope in what I call the love movement. Now, how does prayer work? Like, how does prayer work? Yes, you praying to get the mind of God, to get alignment with God. Hey, God, I'm praying to you. I'm going through a situation. I want to get your mind. I need your help. What you're really saying is, hey, God, love is the way, the truth, and the life. I don't love. I don't love like I should love. So I'm coming to you because I want to get aligned with you in love. And I would just say, I'm talking about it from a logical perspective. Like people don't think prayer works. So trust me, here's the thing I would say to you. It does work, but it doesn't work in the magic way that people think. It works in a different way. Hey God, my wife didn't come home until 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm pissed as hell. I'm pissed as hell. But I know that you are love, and I know that love is the way. So I'm talking to you now because I feel like slapping her upside her head. I feel like getting a divorce, but love is the way. So, do I trust that love is the way? Can I love my wife in this situation? It's very difficult. So, a person is putting in the work because their faith is in God and God is love. They believe in love is the way, but they don't feel like loving right now. So you have to put your mind, you have to put in the work to say, I'm not gonna slap her. I'm gonna love her. I'm gonna forgive her. I'm gonna be patient. I'm gonna be kind. I'm gonna be long suffering. These are attributes that a human has to work out. But why would you work that out? There's no sense in working that out unless you believe that love is helpful. So if you don't think love is helpful, slap upside the head. If you think love is helpful, then you have to try to get your mind right so that you can actually love your wife. And
yes.
I would just tell everybody on the call, Because I've been married for 25 years, and I will say this: I have tried the slapping upside the head. I've tried that. I was in jail. The police came to my house and they took me to jail. I've tried the forgiving part, patience, long suffering, forgiveness. That has kept my marriage over 25 years because shit happens. And if I don't forgive my wife, we're at each other's throats. But if I can forgive my wife and I can say, hey, you know what? We all fall short. We all make mistakes. I'm going to forgive you. I'm give you another chance. That has restored my marriage. And I know it works. And so, what saved my marriage? Love did. Well, who is love? God is love. So, what has been my process? My process has been I tried it my own way. Then I came to the understanding from reading Bible that love is the way. I said, I was talking to Elijah. Is love the way? Should we love all people or should we hate some people? I said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try to love them. I'm gonna try to love everybody that I can. I'm gonna try to love as best as I can. And guess what happened? So let me tell you the prayer. This is real stuff here, so I can talk about the real prayer, right? Because I'm gonna answer your question, Wanda. I'm gonna explain to you the prayer. I'm gonna answer your question. What Wanda? But so what? Yeah, so Wanda, everybody has their own interpretation of scripture. So what you think prayer is and what I think prayer is and what everybody else on this call think prayer is might be totally different. So I'm not talking about what I would call the Christianity one-on-one prayer, name it and claim it. I don't subscribe to that, right? And I don't think Bible's teaching that. So what I'm actually trying to talk about here is I'm giving my perspective of what I actually think Bible teaches. I'm actually giving my perspective on something that actually is logical and makes sense, right? Because I think Bible is logical and it does make sense when you understand what it's really communicating, not the Christianity 101 version. So what I'm saying to you is if you read scripture, Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he had to pray 3 times for this cup to pass when it was like sort of time for him to lay down his life. He didn't want to lay down his life. But why is he praying 3 times? Because he doesn't want to lay down his life. But he's praying, trying to get the mind of God. And if he feels like God says you need to lay down your life, that is how you express love towards the whole world. This is what you need to do. Jesus has the mindset, love is the way. I may not fully understand it, but I trust love is the way. And so I'm going to do whatever I think is most loving in every scenario. And so that's a fight because humans are not like that. We don't want to love. We want to hate. We want to fight. We want to, you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back. To be able to love someone that's hurting you, that's warfare. It's spiritual warfare. So the meditation process, the prayer, it's really about the meditation process. And I'm just talking about me now because I believe in love. Now that doesn't mean I don't want to fight when my wife comes home at 3. And I'm not saying this about my wife, but I'm trying to make a point that people can understand. I don't want to love in certain situations, but I believe in love. So I have to overcome my emotions and the worldly way of thinking, and I have to get into the mindset of love. So I'm actually praying, God, you know how I feel right now, but I trust in the love process. I've tried the love process, and I want to go deeper in love. So I'm gonna talk to you right here until you calm my nerves and you give me the ability to walk in love towards my fellow brethren. So that's what prayer is all about. And for people that think it doesn't work, let me say it a different way. If you think about the people that have the most impact on your life, it's the people that love you the most. Your mother, your father, your best friend, your significant other. Why do they have the greatest impact on your life? Because they love you the most. They do the most for you. So who do you do more for? You do more for people that love you.
Hold
So
up.
when you're
I
loving
got, I got
people,
it.
that has a
Do
that has
Wanda, do I have the
that has
time
a
in?
way of rubbing
I
off on
need
other
it.
Yeah,
people.
Carl, time out, time out.
Hold
Yeah, no,
We,
up.
I'm
we
done.
Hold
I'm
yeah,
done. Y'all
we,
go
we kind
ahead.
of have to limit
I ain't
the
got all
limit
night.
the, at least to
It's
like a
good.
minute because you say so much and you got to go back to backpedal
I
to
do have to
rebuttal or
say
talk
I
about what
agreed
you're
with
saying,
everything Mr. Carl said.
huh?
I said
I'm
with
done. I'm gonna let
all
y'all
the
go ahead. I got
perspectives and
knives out.
views I have heard this far, I'm siding with Carl. That's how I feel.
That's
It's
good.
Yeah,
more so a
That's
mind
good.
thing.
So let's go deeper. So check this
it is.
out.
But
Carl,
when
you
we
said
look at but
this.
when we look at prayer and how it's taught in a collective sense, and I'm strictly talking about black churches, and I'm using that term loosely, which I definitely hate to use. But in the Pentecostal realms of black churches and whatnot, prayer is not taught in that fashion. I would agree with Carl. It's a mind thing. I think Reverend Ike said it the best. Prayers are mental transactions that one says to themselves, for themselves, by themselves, because who else is in the room with you other than yourself, right? So then we start saying, well, God said this and God said that. Then I have questions as to far as well, what does this God sound like? And you can't say sound like water because water has different sounds and different levels as well. But that's not how prayer is taught collectively in the black churches. Prayer is taught that you pray of a need, a request that you have, and then you give it to God. And according to His scriptures, He is supposed to give you these requests or grant you these requests or whatever you want to prayers or however you want to phrase it. So if we keep it in that context and that mind frame, most people are not going to understand that it is a mental transaction that you say to yourself versus how we've been taught for a long time that you pray something away and give it to God. I'm gonna yield the floor. I'm gonna just use my own personal testimony. Um, when I was married to Chris, I was praying, 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 and then it wasn't working. So in my mind, according to what I was taught, was that, well, one, we was unequally yoked, whatever that's supposed to mean, and then two, then our marriage wasn't supposed to be successful because that's not how God ordained it because He didn't answer my prayers. Now, mind you, this is the teachings that's taught in black churches. So how do we segue from people understanding that it's not the traditional way that to pray versus what Carl said, and we all think the same thing. I think mentally, it's a mental thing. So how do we segue into that? I'm gonna yield the floor, Elijah. I know you had something to say.
Well, I agree that that's why we here. Can y'all can hear me, right? I had to switch
Yes,
my
sir.
headphones.
It's
Okay.
way
So
better with Jason.
and it's probably gonna cut out in a few one. I've just been going back and forth. But check this out, Carl. You said, and I typed it when you said it. God is the concept of love. Did you not say that? Yes or no? Don't give me a dissertation. You said that, right? All right. So are we praying to a concept? Because if you're praying to a concept, again, that's just within yourself, and that's something you're doing on your. And then the examples that you gave, I understand that when you're dealing with another mind or a person, you have a relationship or a person you know. And the example that I gave, it, I'm talking about when that person is going through perhaps a hard time, things happen, some unfortunate circumstance, because of where you work. I don't know if you told everybody, so I'm not saying it, but I know that there's been layoffs at that place, and these things happen, right? So when you haven't have that happen, no fault of your own, and you got bills to pay, who we supposed to love in order to get that bill paid?
Yeah. I mean, you asked me, do we pray to a concept? The answer is yes. And so this is a fundamental difference between like what I believe in mainstream church. God is the concept of love. When you believe in God, you believe in love. That's what you're believing in. And so I'm trying to make this real and tangible, not some God that you don't understand, is love. Now you have to every person on the call has to ask themselves, hey, do I love everybody? Do I even want to love everybody? Do I believe it's good to love everybody? This is a real point that everybody has to figure out. And if you think that love is the way, if you think God is the way and you think God is love, so love must be, if you think that, then it's a whole life process to walk in the love movement. It's a big deal. And I've been there. So I do think we're praying to a concept, because for me, when I'm praying, it's like God is love. So when I think God, I think love. Same thing. They're interchangeable, synonyms. And I say to myself, am I going to love people? So I'm praying to God because my God is love. That's what I'm doing. But it is also a meditation in the way that everybody just described here. It's just that we don't see God as love, so you're not processing it in the way that I do when I read Bible.
Carl, I love you, bro. I'm not trying to interject, but listen, to the person that's trying to get their life back together. You know what I'm saying? I just lost my job, bro. You hear me? I get what you're saying, and that person may be the most loving and everything, but you know what I'm saying? If I go out here right now, you know what I'm saying, and that Camry ain't working, bro.
Yeah.
You know
Let
what
me
I'm
let me
saying?
ask you.
I don't get the I don't hold on. I don't get to call you or the one or anybody on this call. You know what I'm saying? And I would say that I love y'all, even though I don't know everybody on the call. I'm gonna show love. But bruh, I got to live. I hear you trying to make it tangible. But what people are trying to do with prayer, in the most part, is that they wanted to change some things in their life. I started off to talk about R. Kelly, that song he wrote, Prayer Changes Things. When you listen to that song, you will see this is what the majority of people think prayer does. The boy was failing in school, and then he went to church one day and he started to pray, and now he making straight A's, and he back on the basketball team, and blah blah blah, and on and on. R. Kelly went. Awesome song. I love to listen to it now. But I hear you with the love. But tell me how praying to that concept of love is gonna give me my job back, gonna pay my bills, gonna get somebody out of jail. How is it gonna do any
Elijah,
of
you're into
that?
Christianity 101. So you're asking me about Christianity 101. When Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King or even Jesus Christ, when these men are praying, it's not about getting my job and getting a new car and going out to dinner. And Nelson Mandela is in prison, and he's praying to keep his mind on straight because he's doing it for a reason. He's trying to liberate his people. He's sacrificing his own life that other people might have a better life. Same with Martin Luther King. So when we're talking about not Christianity 101, when we're talking about true prayer, it's about an expression of love. And so when you're
That's
expressing
from me to
love, hold on,
you.
wait a minute, let me make the point. When you're expressing love, it's not about your own personal comforts. It's not about, unless I need a job, or I need $1 million, or I need this. It's about what can I do to help humanity? That's the love movement. And so if you're not trying to get to the love movement, you're in Christianity 101, and you're asking God to help you. But God's not that. God is love. That's why he doesn't answer that prayer.
How can the love movement help this child, and how can faith of whatever quantitative size that you're supposed to have, because I always wondered about that scripture. If you don't have faith the size of something that minute, then what are we even praying for? What are we even doing? Because that is so small, and you can, and people can't tell me that they don't have that, they don't have faith as big as a mustard seed. I refuse to believe that. And I'm not a believer, but I don't believe that people have that little faith. So I yield to you, Stacia, and Carl.
Stacia, unmute yourself. Sorry.
There you go.
Wanda, are you
Are you
saying
saying
that
that
because you
you
don't
don't
essentially
essentially
believe in
believe
faith?
in yourself?
I'm not muted, am I?
Yeah, but you need to mute yourself.
Oh, I got you. Well, she was talking. Okay, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just
I'm
asked
sorry.
her. I just asked her,
Got
do
you.
you not
Feedback.
believe in faith?
Got you.
With you saying that, Miss Wanda, do you
Do you
not
not
believe in
believe in
faith?
faith?
Because I heard
I
you
heard you
say
say
that
that
scripture
scripture
is
is
questionable to
questionable
you.
to you.
Well, what is faith?
Ah,
Ah,
hope.
hope.
Okay, why do I have to hope for something when I can just know something? You see the difference?
Because you
Because
don't
you don't
always
always
know
know
everything.
everything.
But exactly, I don't know everything, but I'm not gonna hope that I will be able to get some food. I'm not gonna hope that a child my child, if one of my children was getting bullied, I'm not gonna hope that these things stop happening. I'm going to make it happen. You see the difference in what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
don't I don't need I don't need faith in that moment. I don't need hope in that moment. I know what to do in that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wanda. So
Wanda, so
let me just
let me
say
just
that.
say that.
Sasha, I
I
want
don't
you
know
to
why
say
my
that.
screen not showing y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And
And
Wanda, can you
Wanda,
go on
can you
mute
go
for
on
a
mute for a
second?
second?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I would just say when people say faith, faith in what? That's a very important question we should not sweep under the rug. I will say God is love, this concept of love. So when you say faith, you're saying your faith is in love to solve the problem. Now I want to go straight to Wanda in the bullying piece. If someone's bullying my child, daddy's gonna do something because daddy loves his son.
His son.
So I'm
Absolutely.
gonna
I'm
be
gonna
at
be
the
at the.
field, and Wanda is gonna do something because Wanda loves her children. So what's going to save the child? Love is what's saving the child. That child needs somebody in their life that loves them. And so when I push the love movement, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get more people to love more people so we have more love having power in the world to make a difference. So Wanda, if your child has nobody that loves them, that child is in trouble. Now, if that
If that
child has
child
a
has
hundred people
100
that
people
love
that
them,
love them,
100
100
people are going
people
to
are gonna
rain
rain
down to
down to
protect that
protect that
child.
child.
So
So
love
love
is the
is the
solution.
solution.
And so
And
what
so
we
what we
really want to
really want
do
to do
is
is
what is
what is
prayer then?
prayer then?
Prayer is
Prayer is
trying to get the
trying to get
mind
the
of
mind
God,
of God,
is trying to
trying to
bring the
bring the
kingdom of
kingdom
God
of
into
God
the
into
earth.
the earth.
What does that
What does that
mean?
mean?
Get
Get
people to
people to
love one
love one
another.
another.
So
So
Wanda,
Wanda,
you don't need to I
I
don't
don't
need to
need to
pray
pray
for you
for
to
you
love
to
your
love your
child.
child.
Your child
Your child
already
already
has
has
somebody in their
somebody in
life
their
that
life that
loves them.
loves them.
Now, if you're
Now, if
not
you're not
there,
there,
somebody
somebody
better
better
pray that
pray that
somebody
somebody
loves that
loves that
child.
child.
That's the
That's the
answer.
answer.
Now,
Wait,
when
now,
we
when we
love
love
God,
God,
we
we
express
express
God
God
because
because
God is
God
the
is the
principle of
principle
love.
of love.
So if
So
you
if
love
you
But
love
somebody
those
somebody
but
and you
that
and
but
you
put
that's
one
not the
loving
loving
deed,
topic.
deeds,
that is
that
a
But
God
that's
first.
not the
That's where
that's not the
salvation
topic.
comes
The
from.
topic is not do we need love. We understand that we need love. We get that. We're I'm The topic is, can you pray these things away? That these It has nothing to do with love. It has everything to do with what the Bible says and what's taught. If you ask in God's name, he shall grant it to you. There's
You
scriptures
keep
all
saying that, Wanda.
The
there's
The
Bible
Bible
doesn't teach
doesn't
that.
teach that.
So
So
huh?
I'm a
I'm a
scripture guy.
scripture guy.
Now we
Now,
don't
we
have
don't have
5
5
hours to go
hours to
through the
go through the
scripture, but
scripture,
that's
but
what
that's
I
what
do.
I do.
So when
So when
people talk
people
about
talk
what
about
Bible
what Bible
says,
says,
you want to
you
have
want
a
to
whole
have a whole
conversation about
conversation
what it
about what
is.
it
Let's
is. Let's
open up the
open up the
passages
passage one by
and
one and
read them.
read them.
Not
Well,
to
we
Not
make
to
don't we
points,
don't
make
we
not to
don't have
prove
time for
anything.
that. So we gonna keep it
I
simple.
I
understand,
understand,
Wanda,
We're
Wanda,
gonna
but
keep it
you keep
simple.
bringing that
But
up
I'm
as
just
if
saying.
that's the case,
and it's
and
not.
it's not.
I'm just saying. In all throughout the scripture text, we
It's
see.
not
It's
all
not
throughout
all
the
throughout the
scripture
scripture
text. You
text.
have to
You have
look
to
at the
look at the
Let me
context
text
because the
finish.
because the
Bible
Bible
doesn't
Let me
teach
doesn't
that.
teach
finish.
that.
Let me finish. And when I say all throughout, is you can find scriptures, text throughout the Bible where it states that God will give you the desires of your heart. You ask and you shall receive. I think that's in
But that's
one of
not
those in
true,
Ephesians.
Wanda.
So
If
my,
you go
my
through every
Every
scripture,
scripture,
which is what
which is
I
what I
do,
do,
people will
people
say
will
Carl, we're
say
not
said
going to go
something
through.
different
what
We're
they
not
than
going
what
to
they
go. We don't
were.
have time to go through every scripture.
I
I'm
understand, Wanda,
making.
but so don't make that
Don't make that a
position of
position of
fact.
fact.
What you're
What you're
saying is
saying is
Christianity
Christianity
101 is
101 is
not
not
fact.
fact.
But
But
that's
that's
Look, look,
lie.
look, look, look,
That's
Carl,
not
chill.
Jesus.
time out, time out, time out, time out. What I'm saying is, in a collective sense, and what's taught in the scriptures, right?
No,
There, let me finish my question, and then therefore you can give your answer. You can't say no to something I haven't finished my statement, right?
you said right.
So There's no scriptures throughout. There's no scriptures throughout the Bible that states that God will grant you the desires of your heart. Yes or no?
It
It
is.
is.
Right?
Yes or no, Carl? Yes or no?
I'm talking about the proper interpretation of Scripture.
No,
This is
no, no,
what
no.
Scripture says. God's not going to give it to you because you want to consume it for yourself or with your own lust.
Does
So this verse
does
says
the
that.
does
You
the
have to
Bible
look
do
at it
not
in
say
totality.
God will give you the desires of your heart? Where there's two or three or more gathered in His name, there He is in the midst, and you can ask and call upon His name. Does the Bible not say these things? Yes or no?
Wanda, you can't cherry pick verses.
I'm not cherry picking. I'm
Can I
showing.
say
I'm giving out the
something?
scriptures. So it's a very simple. It's a very simple question
But
and a
this
very
verse
simple
says God
answer.
will give you your
Do
prayers
the
because you ask and
Trusca?
call upon yourself. What about
Trusca,
that verse?
are you
The
familiar
Bible
with
does
Daniel's?
say that.
It does say that, Stacia. Okay, so thank
It
you
does
very much.
Psalms 20.
Thank you, because I can pull up the references that does state these
But
things
Wanda,
in the
you said
Bible.
the Bible says he won't give you your prayers because you want to consume it for
Exactly.
yourself. So
You
how is that
connected it. I told you it's the evil.
No, Elijah, go ahead, because you know you got the scriptures. I got the scriptures too, but go ahead. Sorry, mosquito. I
Wanda, I
apologize.
was gonna say like something's building on your end. The static is like it's getting louder and louder.
There you go.
All right. So I knew this was gonna happen. I knew this was gonna happen. Carl, I love you, bro. You already know we good. But I'm gonna tell you once again, you said love or God is a concept. I was just quoting you verbatim. You said it's a concept and praying to it. And I'm noticing in the examples given, it does require yet another mind on the end of it to exercise compassion toward the individual that is in need in order for them to get that need fulfilled. I get that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have that. But and you said that somebody's in trouble. Now, maybe we would need to come back together and define terms about what God is and what have you. But in the example that I gave, I wasn't praying for a new car or anything like that or anything selfish. I'm talking about those things that were on the thumbnail. Let's just keep it with what the host said. Starvation. I think it was starvation and bullying. It might have been bullying and something else, but I know it was bullying.
Yes, starvation and bullying. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's take starvation. So starvation, when we're looking at that, you have individuals in this world that are victims of starvation, and it's not because maybe some of us don't care for them. We see it and we have pity and we have compassion. We may be powerless to even do anything depending on where that starvation is located or where that is happening. In that situation, there have been missionaries or other people that go and they talk about praying to God, or maybe this individual knows something of a God, may not be the Christian God, but they know something of it, of a deity, I should say. I'm gonna ask you, Carl, how do they remedy the situation of their starvation through praying to a concept? How do they remedy? How do they get the food? Uh, how do they do it? How does it happen?
I think I've been in total agreement with pretty much everybody in the call that there is no magic prayer
Mhm.
where magic comes down out of the sky. The point I'm trying to get everyone to focus, like for example, I have never, Carl Clark, I have means, I have finances, I have never been around anybody that was hungry and I didn't feed them. Never. Now I know people are starving out here, but nobody's been at my doorstep needing a meal. And so I know there are people that feel this way because people love other people. And so when people are praying, it's really if I'm praying as Carl, I'm praying that others will get the mind of God and will help other people. If I'm praying because I'm hungry, I'm asking for some food. Okay, it, somebody that loves you or has some compassion for you has to give you some food if you don't have any. That's the bottom line. But that's what
I don't mean
prayer
to
is
interject,
really
but
about.
the person that loves you is now starving. Because in a lot of these places where we're talking about the starvation, the child is starving not because the parents don't love them. They starving because the parents starving. They ain't got nobody.
All right, so let me answer it. Let me answer it a different way. If you look at the world, there's all kinds of problems. There's murders. There's rape. There's all kinds of problems in the world today. Why is that? It's because not enough people love. That's why it is. Okay, and so when we look at the world, we want. That's the reason why we share the gospel. We share the gospel because we're trying to spread love throughout the world. Because when more people love, we solve more problems. That's why
That's
we
why
spread
we
the
spread the
gospel.
gospel.
If you
If
don't
you
spread
don't
the
spread the
gospel
gospel
and
and
nobody
nobody
loves,
loves,
then
then what are you
going
going
to
to
see?
see?
Murder
You're
and
not
You're not
saying
rape.
saying
all
all
evil
You're going to
you're
see
going to
what
see
happens
what
what
we
we see
see.
because
Right?
because
of a
So
lack
a
of
lack of
love.
love.
Are you
it
Are you?
arguing?
works. It works
It
in a
works in a
global sense
global
for the
sense for the
macro
macro
sense
sense
because
because
prayer is
prayer is
trying to
trying to
get
get
the
the
gospel
gospel
spread
spread
to
to
a
a
lot
lot
more
more
people.
people.
So in that
So in that
macro sense, it does work. But if nobody loves anybody, it's murder and mayhem because God is out of the world. He's void. So I'm not saying God is magic. I'm saying this is pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It's pretty logical. The more people love, the more people are going to love people. That's basic. That's basic. Now,
Carl, in
if
a
God is love
situation
and He's not in the world, nobody loves nobody.
Facts, Mr. Carl.
that's not what I'm saying. I see in every example, if you don't notice again, I keep repeating, you keep going back to another entity being needed. All evil and all starvation is not based on somebody not loving somebody. You ever heard of famine before? There are natural disasters and things that happen that cause people to end up in those situations in which they are praying and the next person next to them can't do anything about it because they're also starving because due to an earthquake. There you go. Tresca just talked about an
Natural
earthquake.
disasters,
Natural disasters happen
act
all
of
the
God.
time, and what is that? She said, "Act of God." I mean, I'm not saying that's who you said God, Carl, but if you think about it like that, or if a Christian want to put it like that, if it's an act of God, somebody might ask, "Does God love them?"
No, I
Because
was
you
being
just,
very literal, like how
oh, okay,
people
that
say, like, oh, it's an act of God. Like, if you got struck by lightning, that would be an act of God. But, like, that's something that is devastating and would ruin your life. But that has absolutely nothing to do with love and if someone dislikes you or if
Who said it's
you
an act
didn't
of
have
God,
enough love or
Trisha?
things like
Well,
that.
who says it's an act of God?
I
That's
say
what
it's an act of
it's
God. I
called
can
an act of
also,
God. When things like that happen, it's called an act of God, like in
But
contracts
called an
and
act of
stuff.
God by who? I didn't call it an act of God. So when you say called by act of God, called by who? Not somebody
That's
that
what it's
thinks like
called.
me, right? Because
But
God
like,
is love. He's not striking people with lightning. That's crazy.
no, Carl, don't, no, because you know what? I'm finna give some real
No, the
examples
insurance
because when
company
that,
might
no, no,
call
no,
it an
no,
act
no,
of
no.
God. It might be in your insurance
I was
policy.
just going to say that because when that earthquake happened back when I was in high school in California, I know insurance agents that had to go to California and they call a lot of that an act of God. A tree falls on your car, they don't want to give you money for your car. You know why? Because they say it was an act of God.
So Elijah, what I'm saying is there's
Yeah.
this whole concept in Christianity called antichrist. And
Hmm.
antichrist, Christ is really the expression of God's love in the world. So antichrist is an anti-love expression. That's what it is. And
Hmm.
so the whole thing about Satan, the deceiver, it's like I'm saying that God is love, but then there's all kinds of noise that says God's a monster. That's an antichrist theology, and it's everywhere. So I'm
Well, it's
fighting
in the
against.
Bible too, though, so I
But,
can
but,
I
but
can
what I'm saying,
understand
what I'm
that.
saying is when Trusha says, "Hey, act of God," and you see God that way as a lightning, who wants to go to a God that's striking people with
oh
lightning?
no,
That's
I do
crazy.
not see that. I'm not even correlating with that actually being me thinking God like legitimately did that. I'm just saying it's literally called an act of God. That is
Right.
what natural disasters like that are called
Yep.
because it's an unnatural it's not an unnatural phenomenon because it's obviously an act of nature, but it's something that is so freaking ridiculous that only God could have done it. Like that is why it's called an act of God. That's why it's in contracts. That's the
Yep.
only way for me to get out of my wedding contracts is if an act of God happens. That's the only way you're going to
Yeah,
get your fucking
I'm just
money
saying
back
that God
from
is
me.
that's not God, though,
But
right? I'm
but
just
I'm
saying that's not
saying
God.
is if something like that happens, that is something that's quote unquote evil. Like that is something that it would ruin your body, it would ruin your life. But that has absolutely nothing to do with love. So why if God runs on love on like if that is your interpretation of who God is, which I do agree with that. I think Christianity, that is what the concept of it is supposed to be, is that you are supposed to love everyone and take everyone in equally. God is y'all's love. But regardless if God was here or not, love would still exist. Humans thrive on love and communication, period. I mean, that's why you have to do physical acts to reproduce to keep us going. That is what we thrive on. And it's, you could say it's because God gave you the love, or you could say it's not, but that love is also not what makes the world go round. I've been married for 10 years. I've never wanted to slap my husband, but I would if I wanted to. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to love him.
Well, so that's me and you might not be that far apart. I just view God of Bible as that love concept that you have in your heart. You might not
Yeah.
associate it with God. You just have a heart of feeling of love. But I'm saying that concept of love, that is God. And that's why I know God's everywhere, because love is a universal language of humanity. We all appreciate love because we all love people. The thing about God, though, in John 3:16, is he doesn't just love his family and friends. Well, he does. Spiritually speaking, his family and friends is the whole world. But in the natural sense, we love our family and friends. Well, God is saying the whole world is your family and friends. So that is that's how you have to evolve into a higher standing, Treska. But the love that you have for your family or your husband, that same love, if it applied for the whole world would be a better place. That's really what Christianity is all about. And it's really not even something people can argue. Everybody, I mean, I'm just saying, like, if we really think about it, nobody's gonna argue that if we love the whole world like we love the ones we love the most, the world wouldn't be a better place. We all
Yeah,
believe it's
we
a better place.
definitely we all in agreement with
But what
that.
if that's all
And
Yep.
we
Christianity
all
is?
in agreement with that.
But what if that's
However,
all Christianity is? Then we
that's
don't need
not
to
the
fight
world
against
that we live
Christianity.
in,
We should
though,
embrace
Carl.
it.
But that's not the world. That's not how everybody views the world, and everybody's not going to view it the same way. And so, therefore, we always going to have that balance, if you will, of love and hate. Because you're going to have people who's going to hate. You're going to have people who's going to love. That
And
has
even if
absolutely
we all
that.
did love everything, we all
Mhm.
love different things.
Right.
We're never going to
It,
agree to love the same thing. You could love
right.
my dad. I fucking hate my dad, but we're never going to come together on that subject.
No, I'm just talking
Right.
about. I'm
And I
just
want
talking
to. And
about.
I
I'm
want
just talking
to.
about a standard. I'm just talking about a standard. If we
Right, we
had to
got you,
set,
but that
if we had
standard,
to set a
but
standard
that
where
standard
anybody
is not a
disagreed,
standard for everybody.
hold on, hold on.
Unfortunately, it's
Let me
not a
just make my
standard for
point.
everybody.
We
But
wanted
I
to.
do want to
If
say
I
that.
had a magic wand to make the world a better place, if I
Well,
had a
too bad.
magic wand to make
I
the
mean,
world a better
that's
place, I
magic.
would say
That's magic.
everybody
But we'll
love
get into that
everybody.
another time. I want to just say. I want to say this. Matthew 7:7-8. Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be open unto you. For everyone that asketh, receiveth, and he that. So that goes back to what I was saying about scriptures like that are throughout the Bible. And if those scriptures are being taught, because we know they're being taught, I was taught those scriptures are being taught to people, and they're asking God to take away certain desires, grief, mental health, uh, uh, um, COVID, all of that, all of those things people was praying for, but there was no answer from any deity other than science. Science
There's
is what got
multiple
it under control.
there's
Science is
multiple
Somewhat.
problems with that, and it's because whatever Carl believes in, totally fine. Whatever
Mm-hmm.
you believe in, totally fine. And it's because they're both in the Bible, and that is the problem. You can find any solution to any of your problems, you can find it within that book. You can
Mm-hmm.
also find the same exact counter arguments in that same fucking book. Like,
Right.
but I think that is what it's there for. It is there to answer your questions, and it's also there to confuse you to where you think, oh, well, the Bible has it all. I'm just going to give it to God. I do not know what else to do. God is going to save it all. And if that's what gets some people by, that's totally fine. I know some people that would be an anxious little mess, would not make it through the day unless they prayed.
Mm.
So be it. If that's your form of therapy and that's how you get it out, and that's why you think, oh, well, I'm going to give my thoughts and my worries to God, and He's going to handle it all.
It
So
don't work
be
like
it.
that.
You
It doesn't.
can't sit there and say,
No.
wow, I really hope that tomorrow I can make another quarter to buy another little slice of bread when I live in a foreign country overseas. And that's never going to happen for them. No matter how many people love them, no matter how much they pray to God that loves them so much, they still live in poverty. They're never going to get out of it. It's a cycle. It's never, their kids will be in it, their kids will be in it, and their kids will be in it.
So my question now would be to everyone, the rest of y'all that's still here. What does one do when prayer does not work or is not working for them?
I keep believing.
Okay. Why do you believe? And what when you say I keep
God has
believing,
never failed me.
huh?
I said God has just never failed me. Like even
He's
when
never
I got
failed.
low,
Okay, but what about the little 8-year-old that got great? And we can't say we can't say certain words on here because this is not my platform. So great, take away the G if you will. But if you got a little 8-year-old that has gotten great minus the G, right? How does one? How does that little child say, "Well, I believe that this wasn't going to happen. I just kept hoping that this wasn't going to happen," because it does happen. It happened to me. I wasn't great, but molested. And I was 8, and I kept hoping. I kept praying.
Uh,
Nothing
well, now I
happened.
got an answer for you. I got an answer
No,
for
no, no,
you.
no, no, no. You don't have an answer for me. No, no, no. Let me finish
You said
my statement.
how does prayer work? I was about to give you an answer.
No, I don't need to know how prayer works because I don't
No,
pray.
you were
There's
asking me for a
there
perspective. You were
I
asking.
wasn't asking. I'm not asking you. I'm trying to finish up my statement. You just cut me off and I lost my train of thought. But I was actually talking to Stacia. But when that little girl has been raped or molested or whatever, what does she care about believing? What does she care about hope? The only thing that she probably is caring is about hope. Is that somebody come help her? I hope somebody sees this. And my thing is with Christianity is that they can see so much and talk to God about everything and God gossip about everything in their life, but they can't see when little children are getting touched on in church. God didn't see when that pastor in Brooklyn was stealing that money from this elderly couple. I'm echoing again, y'all.
Yeah.
a little,
I'm
just a little
sorry.
bit, just a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So how does that hope now brings to that little girl or to that elderly people? They was hoping that they wasn't going to get
Okay,
scammed.
sorry.
That little girl was probably hoping that she didn't get raped.
They were
Right.
I'm gonna mute
great.
myself because I hear the echo.
I'm gonna be myself.
I mean, I think
I
the
hear
answer to all
the
questions is love. If someone gets raped, they're going to need someone that loves them, put their arms around them, and counsel them, help them get out of their situation. So I would say that the world,
Just to add in here for a second, most rapes and
get out of their situation.
molestation happen with family
It's
members. That's
yeah,
literally
yeah,
like 85% of molestation happens with the closest loved ones in your life are the people that do
yeah,
harm to you.
yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, if someone
Close
gets raped,
loved ones in your life are the people that do harm to you.
I was trying to find out where the noise kept coming from. I'm not sure if it's mine or Carl's. Is it me still? It's me. Y'all can't hear me.
yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Tanya, you've been really quiet. What do you say?
Mine is me.
We got a bad echo, y'all. I don't know. I tell you what, if possible, I would love to continue this conversation
Yeah.
with everybody. And
Can
what
you hear
we'll
me?
do is we won't even go live. We'll do it back screen where it's just us without any of these interruptions or anything. And then I can record it and then I can post it and let people watch it at that point. But it just keeps messing up really bad, and I don't,
Yeah.
and it's really pissing me off. But because Carl have some really, 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 really great points. Really great points. And I do agree with the whole love thing. Unfortunately, that's not how the human brain works. That's not how the human emotional scale works. We don't always operate in love. We're not going to always operate in love. That's not going to be second nature for people in general.
Counter argument to that is that that's the devil.
Yeah, when it's just us.
No, I mean,
Yes.
I would say, Wanda, that everybody knows, anybody that's lived a real life, nobody's loving 100% of the time. We know this. But when I'm preaching the love movement, I'm talking about the standard, where we need to go towards, the North Star. And I'm saying as we push that and humanity moves in that direction, it gets better because God is spreading. So that's a simple concept. Now, someone wants to argue against love. Okay, fine. We just agree to disagree. Now, is the world loving? No. That's why we have all kinds of murder and mayhem. Everything on your screen is because the world's not loving.
And
It's
that's why we'll never have that love movement because of that. We can try to shift that way to the North Pole all day long until we're blue in the face. What that equates to me is saying that Jesus is coming back very soon. It means the same sentence to me. Like love, we get that we need love. It's just not going to happen for everybody. My parents loved me when all this stuff was going on, and they didn't know about it. I was too afraid to tell them. They loved me. My siblings loved me. We had a bunch of family that loved me. So, but none of y'all can see what was going on, even though y'all communing and talking to this God all the time about everybody else. God gossiping, as Callie like to say. You people want to prophesy about cars and homes and this and that and the third, but they never talk about the kids or things that's being taken place in the church. You know who find out these things? The news. Be- That's how we find out about these situations because God ain't telling y'all this. Why
do,
God not? Why He not
do you
telling
think the world
telling
would
y'all
be
this
better if
stuff?
people
If
loved
it's
more,
all
Wanda?
about, hold on, Carl. If it's all about love, and you got a child that's in a situation that they don't need to be or can't or do not need to be in,
Yeah.
who cares about love at that moment? God can stop and say, "Look, that nigga over there messing with that little girl," but He's not. Y'all want to talk about love, 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 love? Why He not saying those things? Let's talk about reality. These are realities.
I'm talking reality. If
I'm not.
Can
I'm
y'all
saying,
hear me?
but what? Go ahead, Elijah.
yeah,
Only reason I'm interjecting because I
No,
put in
go.
some different headphones and I finally got them to connect. So, do these sound all right?
You sound
Yeah.
great.
Good. I'm kind of mad though because these cost $40 and the other ones a lot more. So anyway, so all right. So what, Carl? I want to ask you this though. What is prayer? And give me the 30-second answer, please. Like
Yeah,
what
because
is it?
I got you on the time. When I blow the air horn, that means stop.
prayer is just
Cliff
getting the mind
notes.
of God, and I would say the mind of God is the love movement. So prayer is really about getting aligned with love.
Okay, next question. So the title was,
That was
can
good,
these,
Carl.
yeah, he awesome.
Whew.
Can the title and for the day was, can these things be prayed away? So I think in
Not
certain
love the way.
contexts, yeah, well, certain contexts, if you get the mind of God, like Carl saying, if you get the concept of love, in certain contexts, these things will be alleviated, but there are other times, and we're looking at situations, let's say even a natural disaster. I think that's a perfect example.
Mhm.
I'm going to ask you this, Carl. Can you pray the type of starvation away that is caused by a natural disaster? Can you pray that starvation away?
Absolutely. We see it all the time. When there's an earthquake or tsunami, you see the Red Cross and all kinds of aid gets deployed over there. Why is that aid coming? It's because people care about other people. So there is enough resources in the world to take care of the world if just enough people were to love each other. So absolutely.
Okay. Oh,
Now I'm
awesome.
gonna have to call.
Now,
I'm gonna have to call flag on the
okay.
play simply because that has nothing to do with love.
I
That has
also
to
agree
do. That has
only
to do.
because I clocked over 1,000 hours working for the Red Cross, and it was literally just to get my degree, and it was not because I gave a shit about these people. And that's just the truth.
Do you know
Yeah,
the
I'm
history
not
of the Red
trying.
Cross? Do you know the history of the Red Cross? Like,
I'm not.
where did the Red Cross
I
come
really,
from?
No,
I
no,
really
It
no.
came
We ain't
from.
finna
It
get
came.
off
It doesn't
subject.
even matter.
Nah,
I'm saying.
That's
I'm saying
no,
it
no,
was
nah.
no, no,
it
no.
was people that loved that
No,
started
no.
the Red Cross. It
Carl, I'm
came
asking
from the
you.
Hey,
love movement.
No, no, no.
that
We're gonna
doesn't
stay.
matter.
Let's stay focused and let's stay on the topic. Red Cross came from overseas. It came from Scotland, England, one of them places. As so did Christianity, and so the Church of Christ, and everybody, all the other religions came from overseas. We'll get to that another day. We're gonna stay on focus and stay on topic.
I answered
So
Elijah's question.
that is that. No, where Red Cross come from? That
No.
has
I
that's.
answered Elijah's question. He asked about a natural disaster and people getting aid. I just used the Red Cross. I didn't have to use the Red Cross. Aid can come from anywhere.
You're right. Okay, next question.
Anywhere.
Because you like to go on now, sir. We love you, but you like to go on a little bit. We love it though. But if what was your next? Because Carl, you talk and then people get thrown off because you just bop 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 bop. Go ahead. I don't even know what we were saying.
well,
I
well,
don't.
the app that we were asking about prayer, and I was trying to ask him some direct questions
Right.
about prayer. So what we would have to do is define. Now I'm gonna ask you, Carl, like how is prayer done? How do you perform prayer? You align your thought with a concept, by the way, because you said this is a concept. It's not some deity outside of yourself. Am I right? I'm right so far?
I didn't say that because the concept is the deity. That's what I said.
Said that.
He's saying God is love.
Yes, he
God
did.
is the deity is the concept. They're
Right.
Okay.
inseparable.
I get.
They're the
I get
same
that.
thing.
I can understand that. How I can understand that. However, going back to Elisha's point,
But that's
um,
still not
those,
outside of yourself.
huh?
That's not outside of yourself. The concept can't live outside of a mind.
Hold on, wait a minute. The
A
Holy
concept is
Spirit,
like an
the Holy
abstract thought
Spirit
in
is
your
a
head
is a concept
only.
of love. Somebody preaches that
Right.
gospel, I hear it, then that spirit becomes mine because I've embraced it. So the
It's
Holy
in
Spirit
your
is in me.
I just said that. It's
I'm
from one
agreeing with
mind
you,
to another.
but
That's from one mind. Okay,
I'm
so it's
agreeing with you.
not
The
a
Holy Spirit
deity
is in me because
outside of
I've embraced
yourself.
it.
So it's
He.
not a deity outside of yourself.
God's not outside of you. He's in you.
Yep.
Okay, I can accept that.
Yeah,
I can
That's
definitely.
all
accept
I'm
Bible
that.
saying.
say, "Yeah,
That's all
ye
I'm
are
saying.
gods." So
There
if
we
we are,
go.
if we are gods,
Only if you
and we
believe,
have
though.
control
Only if you
over this
believe.
dominion and control over this atmosphere, then why are we not seeing effective changes, not only globally but just locally?
Because people play church. They don't really love people. They just go to church and say they love people.
We're
But
not
God,
even
I agree
talking.
with that too.
I,
but
I
no, you
totally
asked
I
me
totally agree with you
why
on
there's
that,
no
Carl.
change is because
However,
people are actually
you
don't
do,
love
but
people.
you
That's
do
why it's
have
not
people
changing.
who do. Carl, you do have people who do love people and who do go to church. So why are we still not seeing any effective changes in our communities across the board?
You don't think the church is doing anything effective? No.
Hell no.
Oh, okay. So we just
The
agree to
churches, the
disagree,
church, the
right?
black church has collected over 300 something billion since the 80s. Why do we not have any banks? We don't have any schools. We don't have any hospitals. We don't have nothing. Trade schools. What are they doing with the money other than riding around in Bentleys and Gucci suits and screaming, God, give me, God's gonna bless you if you keep blessing me. When I say me,
It's
I mean
also
God.
one of the largest organizations of human sex trafficking and touching minor children.
Say that again.
Yeah.
So,
I, I think we need to have a historical perspective. We need to broaden our perspective because if you look at humanity from the beginning of time until now, what you're going to see is that the love movement is expanding throughout the world. The slavery that we used to have, you don't have slavery like no more. So
You don't
historically
think those
speaking,
slaves prayed to be released? You don't think those slaves prayed for their children not to be taken away from them children to be ripped from their mother's arms? You don't think they was praying for that? And again, I'm going to go back to Matthew 7 and 7 where it says, if you ask, he was I'm paraphrasing, He will show you. He will show up for your
Go read
request.
James chapter
So
4,
if
verse
you
3.
asking these things,
No, go
why
read
do
James
we
chapter 4,
not
verse
see
3.
any? Why do we not see any effective changes in our communities if we're going by the Bible standards?
Yeah, so Wanda, I think if we were to have an honest conversation about the world, nobody wants to go and live 100 years ago or 200 years ago. The world is better today than it's ever been. I'm saying
That's
that
not my
honestly.
point. That's
Yeah,
not my
but you're
point.
saying you haven't seen any effective change. I'm saying change is
That's
happening. It's
no, no, no,
everywhere.
no.
It's
He's
everywhere
saying
for
that
everybody to see.
not the world that we live in today is not solely because of church. So you cannot say that we live in a better world today because of church,
I
which
never
is
said
Exactly.
what
church.
we said.
I never said church. I said love.
Religion, or God, or whoever
No, no,
you
I
want to
never
put it
said
in.
church. I said love. I
Well,
never said
even
church.
okay, but there was love.
Love.
Who was loving these slaves as they was getting beaten? Who was loving these slaves as they was getting raped? Where was the love at then?
Wanda, we've established that the world was void of love, and the world is growing into love. So when you have a percentage of the world that doesn't love, you're going to have unloving things happening in the world. So as the
Exactly.
world moves from unloving to
Exactly.
loving, the world gets better.
Exactly. And
That's
and the
common
reason
sense.
why
There's
I'm
nothing
the
for you
reason
to
why
argue with.
I'm saying that is because it cannot it's not all about the love. If that's the case. It cannot be all about the love. It has to be some human action behind these things. Whether because you have atheists out there who get out there and put out in their communities. They don't love God, you know, as the biblical God or whatever God they think exists. They don't love God, but they love their communities. They love their families. They love humanity. So what about those people?
So Wanda, I want you. Nothing else I say. Just one thing I would like people to take away with: God is not religion. God is not Christianity. God is not just church. God is love. And so, to the extent that people believe in love, they believe in God. Now, they might not call him God. They might not know him as God, but God is love. And so, to the
We
extent
know
people
that.
believe in
We
love,
we
they're
get that.
doing
We
loving things.
understand that. That has nothing
So,
to
but
do
you
with
keep going back to
that don't
Christianity
have
one
any
and one,
because you
trying to
you keep
tie it to
talking
something, and I'm
about
not tying it to. I'm
you
saying
keep
God
talking
is the
about this
constant
love
stream,
movement, but
period.
that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about if people would love God, if people would just love, 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 love. We get that. We're 100% checked all the boxes off in agreement with you. So we can move past the whole love thing and just isolate the prayer part of it based off scriptural text. That is where I'm at. That
Go
is the
read James
whole
chapter
premise
4,
of
verse
it.
3. Go read James chapter 4, verse 3. It says you don't get what you ask because you want to consume it upon yourself.
And
So
then if
you
you
have
go
to
read
understand
Matthew
prayer
7
in
and
the
7, it
full
says the
context of
complete
Scripture.
opposite.
Yeah.
Matthew 7 and 7 says the complete opposite, though.
Okay, what I'm saying is Bible is trying to actually convey concepts. Now, people can read and decide whatever they want, but there's a concept being an overall big picture concept. And now, if you got, you want to go to the north and south, and what's the point? There is a point that Bob was making, and I'm saying the whole point is the love movement. And so
We
as
get
soon as your
Carl.
theology
We're
deviates from
not
the love
talking about.
movement,
I get.
you're
I'm
missing
with
it.
you with the love. It's not.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not
So
talking
Wanda,
about the
then don't
love.
go back to the scriptures
That's
and
not
find
it.
another point that's anti-love. You can't go back to the scriptures and find an anti-love point. If love is
We're not
Christ,
talking about love. That's
you
what
keep
we're
going
not.
back to the scriptures,
Carl, we're
pointing
not
out something
talking about.
that doesn't make any
We're not
sense.
talking about love. We're simply talking about what is taught in the scriptural text dealing with prayers and answers, requests from God, from your mouth to God's ears.
You said what is taught. Taught by who, Wanda? Because I'm not ascribing to the teachings that you're talking about. That's not my
Nice
teaching,
break.
and I don't believe in it. I'm not
Just
even here
wanted
to
to let me
teach
know
you.
when the next podcast, because
Yeah,
I've
I
been
will. We're gonna
up
get.
and delayed.
We're gonna go ahead and end it. We're just gonna go ahead and end it. But it's not. It's love ain't got nothing to do with any of this stuff. If I can love you I can love somebody until the day I die. I will love you till the day I die and everything else. However, when we talking about prayers and what the Bible says, asking God for certain things, He's supposed to grant what you ask for,
Mhm.
but He doesn't do these things. I don't understand how the whole what love would have to do with any of it because we're talking about prayers.
We just have to take
If I ask God to, um, I'm closing out, so you guys can go ahead and mute up. If I ask God to take away a desire of mine, and I'm following everything that's being taught upon, like the scriptures say, and the scriptures clearly defines and says that if we ask, He shall give us. And if those scriptures, and since those scriptures say those things, why do we not see any changes in people's lives? I can pull up people that I know in real time, always asking, Lord, please help me. I can't do this. I can't bear it anymore. I see it all the time on my timeline. These people are loved. Love and have love. What love got to do with it is beyond me, because these people need help, not just some love movement. They need help. Somebody who's professionally can help them with mental issues. Homosexual. I don't think that's a mental disorder, but people who struggle with coming out because they're afraid of what's going to happen to them, they need to seek professional counseling. Prayer is not going to do this. Love is not even going to do anything for them, because people have great support systems all the time. But there's just some things we need help on. Prayer ain't gonna do it. Reading the Bible ain't gonna do it. We need to work with each other to do it. And to Carl's point, it is about love, but everybody ain't gonna love everybody. Everybody ain't gonna reach out and help you. Everybody is not gonna be there for you. So we thank everybody for tuning in tonight. All our guests. We sorry we got started late. We had some technical difficulties. We will do this again. So make sure you guys follow We Call BS Podcast News for all of our content. We hope that this was able to maybe open up somebody's mind. We do have to help each other. We do need each other, and like I said, I don't believe in prayer, because I don't like when people say, "Well, I'm gonna pray for you." No, you're not. It's I don't need you to pray for me, because you don't know what my requests are. You don't know what my needs and my wants are. So you can't pray for something for me without me telling you what I need or what I want. And if I can do that, I can just do it. I can just pray myself. But also I can get out there and go do something about anything that's going on in my life. There's nobody coming to save me. There's nobody to come and save anybody. We have to get out there and do it and be the ones and be the change that we want to see. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.